Hi folks, this video is a response to Jersey Knife Guy's little video that he put out yesterday on little knives. Little knives video rather than a little video. Now, I have quite a few little knives in my collection, but for a long time, and I'm talking about from at least 15, maybe 20 years, all I carried was one of these in my pocket. It's called the Silver Tern. This one isn't actually mine. I lost mine quite recently. This one belongs to my brother. I bought it for him for his, I think it was his 30th birthday. So that was 24 years ago. So, but I found it's a little Japanese 440 steel blade. Don't really know who makes the Silver Tern. The only marks on it are that it's 440 stainless steel, and below the word Silver Tern it says vanadium stainless steel. There's nothing else on it. Sorry, it does say Japan. But the only problem with these little knives is because of the stupid little laws we have in the UK. In fact, I should say before I move off that, in terms of blade length, we're talking about a tiny fraction over 2 inch, 2 and 1/8 inch, something like that. So it's it's a really small little knife, but it locks, and we're not allowed locking knives in this country. We're allowed to own them for the pedants out there, but we're not allowed to carry them. And being allowed to own them in your own home seems a bit pointless to me if they're illegal to carry them outside the front door. If you forget that's in your pocket and you go out and you get stopped, that is a criminal offence. There's no equivocation about it. It's a criminal offence to carry it. So anybody that tells you, oh, they're not illegal in this country, they're illegal to do anything with other than have them in your own house. That's the truth. Scratches me a little bit. Is actually the Toothpick. Now, I tried carrying this one for a week as my only knife just to see how it works, and it actually does every job you would want of it. My worry with it as a knife is that it's very round in profile, and with my dodgy fingers, when you try to open it, it can just sort of roll in the hand, and it's just awkward. It's not dangerous, and it's just awkward. So I tend not to carry it so very much. I tend not to carry the sand remove for the simple reason that I have better knives, but it's a good little knife. Got a little clip on the back, aluminium handles. It'll be, one presumes 440A or something similar steels. It just says San Ren Mu for those who can read Chinese, and on the other side it just says the words, what does it say? I can read it, but I'm sure you can. Anyway. Now, the baby Butterbean, on the other hand, I do like to carry. It is a nice little knife. It's nice and easy to open. You've got two blades, so you've got it's only Casey's True Sharp steel, so it doesn't hold an edge for a great amount of time, but it does get very sharp, easy to sharpen. And you've got the second little blade there. If you find yourself you're blunting the knife and you need something really sharp, you can keep that knife in reserve. This one, the ADV, is actually a really nice carry knife. It's of a decent size. It's got a nice half stop. It's M690 steel. Its big brother, the Pocket Butcher, is a 3-inch knife. It is completely street legal in the UK, but it can just look a little bit aggressive to some people. Now, I know you'll be watching this and saying don't be ridiculous, but ridiculous sometimes is the truth. This, on the other hand, because it's really is quite small, it's nice, but it's a really good quality knife. It's not just small and cheap. It's a really good quality user knife. And I don't really need to tell you, but the little classic SD, you put one of these on your keychain and you've always got a sharp little knife. You've got a neat little pair of scissors which are really useful, and a little nail file with a screwdriver on the end. You've got a pair of tweezers and a toothpick, and you put that on your keychain and you have a small little set of tools for pretty much everything you might need. I don't have it on my keychain though. I use a thing called the Jet Setter, and the Jet Setter has the same little folding scissors on the back, but instead of the blade and the nail file, it has a multi-tool which effectively is a bottle opener, a wire stripper. Why that would be essential, I don't know, and a small Phillips screwdriver. Now, I keep that on my keyring rather than this, because there are places that I go to, schools and various public buildings, that don't allow knives at all, and one or two of them have metal detectors, and so I don't really want to be getting into bother over that. There is no point. So what I normally do is I carry the Jet Setter on my keyring, which does have a pair of scissors, so I can cut things. That doesn't cause problems going into these sorts of places. But I've usually got something, whether it's a PK70 or one of my classic pocket knives, about me somewhere to overcome things. And back in the days when I used to carry this, this would be in my suit pocket, because I wore a suit, 5 days a week at least. Somewhere about my person, whether it be in my pocket or in my bag or in my desk or whatever, there would be a fairly meaty folder, locking folder probably, or even a fixed blade. I used to have a sort of 3.5-4 inch buck fixed blade that used to go most places. Now, the reason I was thinking about doing a small knife video before I saw Jersey Knife Guy's video was because, just take these out of the way, I was sent by Paddy 4 little knives. This is in our little pass-around group. He just sent me 4 little knives that he thought I might like to have a look at, and he wasn't wrong. They are each in their way, in some way, interesting to me. Now, whether these are big brothers or not, I really couldn't tell you. I know that that these little Japanese folders, they come in different sizes, they come in different quality steels, and so this one is, I think, one of the smaller, but I don't think it's the smallest. I think there's a smaller version. There's a keychain version of this as well, but it's still a small knife. For various reasons, I've always wanted to see one of these, partly because I like all things Japanese, and it's probably a good bit of steel, and it probably sharpens, but I've always been interested just to see what they look like. This one appears to be steel, black painted, or could that be japanned? It has obviously a carbon steel blade, because it's slightly patinaed. Now, whether that's just patina or whether that's some sort of hamon in the edge, I'm not sure. If it is a hamon, I don't think it's a great one. I wouldn't like to see that in a sword. I think it comes away from the edge about 3/4 inch from the point of the blade, and it's no better on that side. So I would nice to see this. I'm pleased to have seen it, but it's one I won't miss when it goes back. Particularly, I find it awkward to use. It's a friction folder. I find the blade can get stuck in the handle. Now, you could probably loosen that up, but then it would fall out when it's in your pocket. There's nothing to hold it open except that little tab on the back. The handle is uncomfortable to hold because it's all just open metal edges, and I'm sure they're very traditional, and one should always have one in one's collection, I suppose. But if I want a cheap little knife to keep in my collection, I've got my Open L's and my Sodbusters and all the other little relatively cheap knives that I have, and I think I would much rather have those most of the time than this. But still, it was very nice to see it. Now this little one here reminds me very much of my silver tern. It's the same sort of knife. I just move that one up there. Put that one down there. I have to watch the silver tern because I sharpened it for my brother, and I need to take it back to him. But it's a similar sort of size. It's very slightly smaller. It's Sandra Mu. It's Chinese rather than Japanese. But in terms of blade shape and utility, and the fact it's a little locking knife, makes it very, very similar to my silver tern, and therefore quite attractive. Although I think I prefer the silver tern because it's plain. But equally, in the UK, it's a locking knife, so it's illegal to carry outside of my home. And would I get into trouble for it? Chances probably not. But I just, I don't see the point in running the risk when I can happily carry my little ADV instead. So 2 more. Again, this is a little friction folder. Battle box says on it, so I don't know if this was a freebie in something. It's very, very similar in many ways to the little Japanese knife, in terms of the way that it works and so on. It's effectively a folded piece of steel or aluminium. I couldn't say for certain which it is. It's one or the other. It would appear to be aluminium. I just checked. This one is definitely steel, but this is aluminium. You've got a unmarked steel blade. It's a friction folder, but it's actually just rather nicer. I mean, other than the fact it's probably got a nicer shape to it, the steel is probably not as good. But in terms of its action and so forth, it just works that much better. In fact, I think if you had more nimble fingers than me, you could open that very easily, just like that. So I'm quite liking that one. And this is the final little knife. Now this one is quite interesting. I like it. I like the style of it. I like the shape of it. What I only just realised as I was getting ready to do this is I hadn't read what it says on the blade there. I don't know if you can see that. It's 35 VN, so we've got a really good steel. Now I checked to make sure that see if the handles were steel or aluminium, and they came up as non-magnetic, but there's a possibility this is actually titanium. We have the SP logo on the handle, which I assume is Serta. I'm not entirely certain. But it's funny how, when you've got 4 little knives that come to you, and you look at them and you say to yourself, not that one obviously, I already had that one, but these 4 little knives come to you and you look at them and you think, that's nice, but it's a bit of, relatively cheap tat, but it would be quite nice to carry if it wasn't for the fact it locks. This is a classic. It's probably far better steel than I give it credit for. This one is probably a cheapie as well, but actually I quite like it. I like the design. But then this one, and I didn't know it was S35VN, and I had no context to believe it was anything special. This one to jump out at me is actually a really quite nice little knife. It's got a nice smooth action to it. I can just about manage it even with my dodgy hands without cutting myself. It's got a little clip on the back. I'm not sure that's necessarily vital for a little knife like this, but it's there if you want it. It will be easily removable. I don't think the fact it's right hand only is a great problem. It's got a detent on it which locks it open, but not so tightly that it's a problem, but not so loose that it's going to fall open. And actually, if I was to carry that as my everyday little backup knife, I would be very happy. Or actually, I mean, when I call it a backup knife, when I carried this, it wasn't a backup knife. This was the knife I went to first. I only went to the backup knife when I needed backup, when the little knife wouldn't do the job, which mostly, slightly ridiculously, meant when I got a baguette for lunch and I wanted to slice up the baguette and spread some cream cheese in it, which I used to do quite a lot. I did that with a 3.5, 4-inch buck fixed blade, or a large buck folder. I was into bucks in those days for some reason, I don't know. But this was the knife I used when I wanted to open something or cut something, or the silver tern was. But this would make an admirable alternative. It's a great little knife, small, compact, lightweight, non-threatening, good solid blade. Don't think I'd want to chop my apple up with it, it's a bit small, but that would make a great apple slicer. But no, I like that little knife. I quite like that one. Not sold on that. That's okay, but in the company here, it's totally outclassed. So anyway, that's my thing on little knives. I like little knives. Thank you. Bye.